Think we're live.
Oh,
Morning, everybody.
hi everybody. My name is Lawrence. I'm substituting for Dan today. Um, okay, I'm really bad at ventriloquism. Hey, everybody, I'm Dan. I'm substituting for nobody today, for myself. That means I'm not supposed to. Anyway, we'll figure out the logic behind this, but welcome to this week's update. And with me, I have none other than Joe and Alex. Say hi to everybody, Joe and Alex.
Hi guys,
Hello.
how's it going?
Pleasure to be here. Hi, everybody. Looking forward to the question.
Yeah. We we got some nice updates for you this week, we're gonna get to your questions in just a moment. So let me first touch on the things that I've been doing this week, and yes, it goes on, guys. I know you probably heard this before, but just reporting the news. We're still in the middle of an integration with the exchange. It is happening. It is actively being done. We're trying to get a more definite date for the launch, for the listing, and once that is available, we will in fact let you guys know. But once again, nothing has stopped, nothing is delayed, and nothing is. There are no issues. Basically, everything is, well, it's just being done. Ergo is, it's not another ERC20 token. It's its own blockchain. These things take time. So, but once Ergo is integrated with this exchange, this will also obviously give the opportunity for Ergo native assets to be listed later on in the same exchange, provided that the exchange would be looking to do that. However, the functionality is going to be there. So, although this is taking quite a while for us to do the initial integration with the exchange, I think that this will have an amazing effect, not just on Ergo, but basically everything in the Ergo ecosystem, all the native assets and everything like that. That is not going to be able to be listed in the same exchange. So please hang in there with us. We will prevail. Now, from my end, so I've been digging more into education, the education initiative that I've been talking about. It is summer vacation right now, so it's been a little bit delayed. However, I believe that we will be able to get more results in the coming weeks. And again, I will update you once that happens. And again, these are the initiatives that we were talking about a few months ago, where we're looking to have kind of an entry type of course into blockchain and using Ergo, and a more advanced course on building on Ergo. So I guess 2 tiers of courses with an accredited university. Again, this is going to be really big for the ecosystem, and is going to basically create a really nice education stream on top of what we already have, because we do have really, really nice education materials. But this will also be kind of another in-person way of learning about Ergo. So again, very excited about this. So the next thing I wanted to put out there is, so from the Zengate side, we're going to be visiting several conventions this coming fall. One of which is going to be the NFT-Con event in Vegas. For this event, we will have the ability, and I would like to bring as many Ergo projects as possible. We have space for several smaller booths over there. The price is very low. Again, and we can discuss this over DM or over Telegram. If you're interested, please let me know. I would love to have, of course, Ergnomes over there, Pade over there, Aneta, Ergoland, basically anybody from the ecosystem that we can showcase. I think this is a great opportunity for the entire Ergo ecosystem to kind of show all the different sides and all the different projects that we have. Of course, Night Owl Casino, Sky Harbor, Sigma Valley, everybody who is interested, please let me know. I'm also going to be reaching out to each one of you individually to potentially discuss participating with us in this event. And I believe that this is going to be a great event. It's very easygoing. It's actually put together by some of the people that joined us at the Ergo meetup in Austin. So again, a great opportunity to showcase what we have, and I believe that this will add a lot of value, and it will really kind of give us that boost. For example, what the Austin meetup did for us, which is basically bring more people into the ecosystem, and that's what we're looking for. That's what we want to do. And one last thing that I also wanted to kind of give you an update on. So also from the Zengate side, I'm looking to build, one of the things that we're looking to do is to build some high value ecosystem tooling. And again, I will reveal what it is once we develop a more solid project plan. But again, this is something that I've already spoken to several of our Rockstar developers in the ecosystem, and I'll be reaching out to more of you. So I will let you guys know what it is in the next few weeks. And so one of these products that I'm going to be building with Zengate is actually going to be directly for just kind of unifying and really propping up the entire ecosystem, because one of the main goals of Zengate is, of course, commercial adoption and betterment of the Ergo ecosystem. So that's it from my end, and let's go to Joe for sports.
All right, sports. Actually, this last week we had one user that had that ran into an issue sending too many NFTs that then didn't break down into change boxes. I wanted to report that this morning I heard from Green Hat, and it looks like he has pushed a patch for that. Sigma Rust 0.18.0, I think is live now. So that's patched. And we also had quite a few wallets hopping in and trying to build in user protection to where if you're going to burn anything, you kind of have to manually request that versus, it happens. So it should start returning transactions as failed to prevent that from ever happening in the future. I was pretty excited to see the community reach out to that user. We had an NFT project that decided to remint what was burned and send it to them, and as well as a lot of donations came into that one particular user. So open source community was on it, and it looks like that's been patched. So I'm pretty happy to see that. What's going on with you, Alex?
All right, so 5.0 testnet is alive, and actually there are a few first tests showing that indeed we can have much more transactions with the same execution cost limit per block. So we have also a very aggressive delay, average delay between blocks, which is about 5 seconds. So yeah, watching our the network and tuning. And yeah, also reworking the networking and mempool layers in the nodes along with 3 or 4 contributors. So a few next node releases will be about that. So in regards with rolling out 5.0, let's see, we can consider some concrete dates in like 2 weeks probably. And then, yeah, I was quite excited about Ergoland raffle. Got like twice of an amount been asked. So yeah, that's very exciting. and let's see how it goes. I think maybe we need to document cases where Ergo blockchain was helpful to ordinary people around the globe. We had a few examples before, like some street artist from Brazil selling his NFTs on the blockchain, and he also raffle to help some family in Argentina. Now, with the new raffle, it's about providing loans to farmers in Kenya, and let's see how it goes. Really interesting. Also, I spent a couple of days with Bruno, author of Jet Designs. We discussed a lot actually in regards with Jet and stablecoin designs in general. I'm going to update the DEXI paper soon, and it seems the most painful part, which is burning in the pool, can be actually replaced with another stability measure. A lot of news, and we also discussed a lot what to do with accidental burning of tokens. Still, it seems discussions are going on. Outside of fixing bugs in libraries, there are other options which can be discussed with different trade-offs. All right, in regards with development, things are going very well. And let's have some community chat next week to be announced soon.
All right, thanks for that, Alex. All right, let's get to the questions. Unless Joe wants to show us a magic trick.
I've got no magic.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, Joe. Everything you do is magic. Believe that. All right. So, we have a nice question here from Mike G, and this is more of a kind of I guess, our take on what happened here. So, what lessons can be learned from the collapse of Terra? Did Terra's collapse identify potential weakness of algorithmic stablecoins? How do we ensure SIG-USD does not run the same risk of, he has the same risk. That's what Mike is saying. And so I guess I'll give my take on this, and then you guys can put in your, also join in. So, one thing to really remember about Terra is that it was under collateralized. In fact, I think it was pretty highly under collateralized. That's why they kept having to pump new collateral into it. And, steady lads and deploying more Bitcoin steady lads sort of way. That's because we didn't deploy enough Bitcoin to collateralize it in the first place. So we had to keep telling lads to be steady and deploy more Bitcoin. So that's one of the things that has happened that is basically different here. It's also about the way, basically the design of the stablecoin itself, the protocol that's being used. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Joe?
Well, the first thing that I would like to point out here is that Terra had backing by big players in the space. And the result of that is they had a lot of media access that are basically willing to sell ice in a snowstorm, even if it makes really no sense. So there was not a lot of critical thinking, maximum marketing, and maximum adoption, right? And to some degree, I think that's a complete failure on the due diligence side of the crypto media outlets and the exchanges that were willing to support something that was not designed very well, right? But that really wasn't the intent or point there in terms of making sure that the system itself made sense. The point was to sell, right? And they did a good job at selling. It got up to what, $40 billion at one point. And then, suddenly the framework itself failed after there had been repeated warnings. Hey, this probably doesn't make sense. Hey, this can be attacked. Hey, we have an issue. But, that really is not a very good sales pitch. Think about how can these things fail? It's much more attractive to sell things and say, how can you make money, right? So I think it's a failure in terms of the thought process that people need to go through when objectively looking at these type of designs, because it was painful. I remember we actually had the ability to list a Erg USD, or it was UST pair, and in the discussion with Alex, it took us about 5 minutes to say, hey, let's stay away from this. This seems like a terrible idea. And so we avoided that listing pair. And, the other aspect that's kind of critical here is the amount of counterparty risk that occurs off chain, right? So I lend to Dan, at 5% return, and then he lends to Alex at 6% return. And, we create some sort of scheme off chain that nobody sees or understands. And then when it blows up, the counterparty risk, has taken out a lot of major players in the space, which I really have.
That's called the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah,
the Ponzi scheme.
Where is the due diligence? Like, where is the transparency? Where is the intelligence here? Because I think that a lot of that was missing. Now, SIG-USD, the assumptions of failure are relatively transparent, clear. You do have a little bit of game theory that has to kind of change the assumptions you need to make in terms of failure, but it's clear, it's on chain, it's transparent. There's no hidden counterparties and risk off chain that you're not aware of. And it's all open source. It's all there. A lot of the reward mechanisms that were occurring in Terra were the result of kind of off-chain, lending and manipulation. So it was a shitty design. And what happens? It didn't stand the test of time. It blew up. It hurt a lot of people, which is unfortunate. But, I think we need to place a lot of the blame on the people who sold this shit rather than just say all algorithmic stablecoins are bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a common theme, right? So one big one failed. Let's look at all of them and kind of discount them right away. And it's actually we actually had to do Coty actually had to do a bit of a some reaching out and explaining about JED and why JED is really not the same as Terra, because everybody just started painting all these algorithmic stable coins with the same brush. And again, as Joe said, these the way it is built from the ground up is totally different, right? There's more transparency. There's more attention to detail, like, for example, collateralization. And it's technology first. It's not marketing first. And again, as Joe pointed out, the reason why it blew up so much, blew up and then dumped so much, was because not enough attention was given to the actual the actual composition of the ecosystem versus the size of the ecosystem. They were basically trying to grow out as much as possible inorganically without really thinking about risks. So it was reckless, and that's what happened. And look, if you're reckless, you can crash and destroy pretty much any crypto, okay? Unless it's so decentralized that there's just no way you can do it. But even then, You get enough people together, you can have the most beautiful blockchain ecosystem out there. And if enough people act recklessly at the same time, doing the same thing, you will seriously hurt that ecosystem. So it's really about just really about the ecosystem as well here. It's really, that's why ecosystems are so important. That's why, for example, in Ergo, I'm really proud of our ecosystem. I'm really proud of our community, because we don't have that reckless element in our community. A lot of our community is building things out, research first, technology first. Alex, I mean, that's how Alex has worked as long as I've known him, and I've known Alex for, well, I think, what is it, 6 years now, right, Alex?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your take out on the stablecoin drama?
My take.
Yeah.
Oh, let's then finish maybe. Then
sorry.
you finished?
Well, I'm finished. I'm finished. Please go ahead, Alex.
All right. So actually, a lot of lessons to be learned from the Terraclism, and some of them are already ignored, by the way. The most terrible event around the Terraclism was that the blockchain was halted at some point. And that's actually a problem with application proof of stake blockchains, right? One of, so if you have some application on top, tokenomics is dependent on an application, right? So in case of Terra, we had supply going to the sky, right? But that's actually how the stablecoin was designed. And Terra holders halted the blockchain, right, to stop supply inflation. That's the truly terrible event, right? So if blockchain is stopped, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of stopped and restarted blockchain events in 2021, right? 2022 also. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense, right? So this is the huge red flag. I mean, yeah, it's like the complete disaster, right? For a chain, it should be. But yeah, it seems some of chains successfully continuing to fool the so-called investors after being restarted. All right, so I agree with Dan. So yeah, there should be a natural growth. On the website, Terra was labeled as money for the internet or something like that, right? Like they're trying to serve some real economy, digital one, right? But in reality, so before the crash, 80% of UST was locked in the Anchor protocol, providing 20% APY. Right. So and then so the crash started with I guess correct me if I'm wrong, with some whale or few whales exiting from the Anchor and crashing the pack. The public followed. Sorry?
Yeah, there was they were transferring between staking pools, and then when the transfer occurred, somebody dumped something like 80 million, and that's what caused it to depeg.
All right, yeah, and then the panic did complete depegging, right, and then in inflation of Terra supply, and then blockchain being halted. as a final disaster to happen. Yeah, it seems then the purpose of that stable coin was mostly about being locked in a protocol which was designed specifically to lock this UST stablecoin, right? And provide 20% APY. So yeah, I mean, very unnatural economy, let's say simulation of economy. Yeah, so there will also problems with instruments, right? So yeah, Luna, right? And so yeah, the stable coin and Seigneurage shares counterparts, and yeah, also yeah, it seems they had a hope maybe for using exogenous reserves, right? But that's also very centralized, and yeah, definitely not a good solution to preserve stability with exogenous reserves. So yeah, in regards with all those aspects, SIG-USD and yeah, jet design in general are very different.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, we could elaborate on it more, but that's pretty much where it is. Those are the core differences, and these are the things that make a world of difference. Whenever you have to stop, to me, stopping a blockchain is kind of like saying the world just stop turning. It just reminds me of that. It's like, okay, world, we're gonna stop turning. We're gonna fix a bunch of stuff, and then you can start again. It's kind of the same thing, Well, to me at least, it just seems so ridiculous if you have supposedly decentralized blockchain. Of course, if you have some federated or some centralized network, then yeah, okay, that's understandable. But a decentralized blockchain, really, that decentralizing is just gonna shut it down. I'm just gonna stop. Okay. I hope you know what you're doing. Obviously, they didn't, but anyway, we'll go on to the next question. We have another pretty good one here. So, and this is something that I think this could turn into a realistic scenario once the merge goes through. So, in a fictitious scenario, if ETH crashes and half of the people migrate to Ergo, would it support such demand in all sectors of Ergo or just in the future? So basically, I think what is being asked here is, what kind of influx of traffic can we handle if, for example, just all these people decided to dump ETH and switch over to Ergo and start mining Ergo, and we just get, an onslaught of new mining rigs pointing to Ergo, crazy hash rates and whatnot. So what is your guys' take on this? Joe, I think you'd be a good man to answer this.
Sure. So, proof of work is all about incentives, right? So if you have a growth in the hash rate, you kind of have a greater distribution of coins per block. So to some degree, there's a balance between the profitability of Ergo itself and the market, and that would need to make sense because miners generally aren't going to mine at a loss. So there has to be some organic movement in terms of the hash rate and the profitability. I would be excited. Ethereum has a lot of great miners, and also miners that cross over between kind of development, mining, and trading, right? So I would be happy to have them in the community, and I think that we do have the base building blocks for a pretty robust DeFi ecosystem. That's something that we're always going to develop into the future. I'm not somebody that ever tries to sell Ergo to miners because I understand that mining is about profitability, and ultimately that's the driver. And so I can talk stars in the sky all day, but at the end of the day, they're going to look at their profitability, their returns, and whatever their risk assessments are and their time horizons in their business. And I'd leave that to them to figure out. We're happy to host them, and hopefully we build an increasing amount of tooling to deliver value to miners as the ecosystem builds out. I'm excited, but for Ergo, I think we have our own path, our own development plan, and we, to some degree, should focus there instead of saying, okay, well, when is ETH going to merge or crash or whatever? Because we need to be proactive, not reactive.
What are your thoughts on that, Alex?
Yeah, fully agree with Joe. Also, yeah, I think we've forgotten to announce that Ergo Summit is coming. So there, I will give a talk on another topic, but after the summit, I think, yeah, it would be a good time to remind about scalability plan that we have since the mainnet launch, or yeah, even before. And yeah, what's left there, and what are realistic timeline to achieve goals from the roadmap. So yeah, but yeah, I fully agree with Joe. So we need to develop, and yeah, sudden jump is not quite realistic, but yeah, I think we can definitely take much more load, and yeah, I think things are improving pretty quickly.
Well, excellent. So here's a little bit, actually something that I've been talking to Joe about as of lately. So we got our friend. First, I would like to say that I love you and send a big hug here from Brazil. I'm a great enthusiast of Ergo project in Brazil. I would like to know the role of Ergo as the Oracle of Cardano. Well, thank you very much. We love you guys too. Thanks for joining us from Brazil. And so the role of Ergo as an Oracle of Cardano. Well, so obviously there is no Ergo powered Oracle that is running on Cardano right now. However, Ergo has a very robust open source framework called Delphi. Am I saying it right? Delphi or Delphi? How do you pronounce that, Joe?
Delphi, I think, and that's a community group of Oracle operators that are working and waiting for V2 to be launched.
Right. So potentially Delphi can act as that type of Oracle. It could also be built up into well, basically from what it already is a decentralized into a more decentralized cross-chain Oracle that not only can be operated for Cardano, but I think across the entire EUTXO ecosystem, and with other chains that are in the EUTXO alliance. So while there isn't an Ergo powered Oracle on Cardano, we do have we have the technology. I know you guys are probably too old to get the reference. That's from the $6 Million Man from the 70s. I'm old. Anyway, there was a show in $6 Million Man, and it started, we can rebuild them. We have the technology. Anyway, we have the technology, okay? It can be built. It's just a matter of building it. This is actually something that Zengate are looking into right now. Potentially building out a decentralized cross system Oracle. Again, this is something that we're not doing right now, but we're looking into because we believe that this is a very very much needed across the not just in Cardano, not just across Ergo, but across the entire EUTXO ecosystem, and reaching out of the EUTXO alliance. This just would be a tremendous tool to bring on to into the ecosystem, into our ecosystems right now. Well, what is your take on that, Joe? Can you give us any more insight on what?
I'll address it directly. So we had a YouTube influencer, actually a couple of them, sometime last summer that came up with this concept that Ergo was going to be the oracle for Cardano. Now, at the time, we actually had the oracle for SigUSD up and running. That's been running for over a year. I actually don't know if there are any live oracles supporting DeFi right now on Cardano, but it sometimes influencers create certain narratives that really don't make a whole lot of sense, right? And the first thing that you have to understand is that Cardano is a ecosystem, right? It is not a single guy that's going to say, hey, I'm going to create a business partnership that I can enforce across all of the projects on my network, right? That doesn't make sense. That's not very decentralized. So for a period of time, the only way for us to transmit that data to Cardano was via a metadata port, which was not a very efficient way to process that data because the UTXO would have to be consumed and recreated continuously. So I do believe in the latest hard fork, they are supporting their own variation of data inputs that at least makes it a lot more efficient to process that data on their chain. And so is that potential there? Sure. I think that the Oracle pool framework is very valuable, and there will be some projects on Cardano that will say, hey, we want hardened data. There will probably be some that try to spin up their own independent one-to-one oracles, which, as I can understand why to some degree. Then there will probably be some projects on Cardano that exist in other ecosystems, and so it's important for them to run the same data across chains. That way there's no potential for arbitrage and attacks. So it's a small piece of what the overall tooling of Ergo can do. And so, to say we are the oracle for Cardano, I think was silly to begin with, to be honest, because that's like, it's like a one finger on a body, so to speak. It's something we have and we can do and can build out, but it also is ignoring like 99% of the actual programmability and things we can independently offer as our own ecosystem. What's your take, Alex?
So in regards with oracles, in Ergo, we can have kind of new interesting constructions. I'm gonna to describe finally soon. After some private discussions with Amitabh and other guys. But actually, they already used, for example, in auction house, right? So when you are paying royalty, right? So you need to know who was the first who created right NFT, and that's stored in inaccessible parts of a blockchain, right? So during the script execution, no way to know it. So we can use primitives I'm calling trustless oracles, right? So to store some data from inaccessible. To store some data from a blockchain and then access it when it's otherwise inaccessible. And actually, there are some novel applications we can think about, like to get miners of last blocks, right? And then you, for example, can use multi-signature from them. And by doing that, so you can have a little bit tricky, but yes, similar assumption to majority of hash rate, right? Which can be useful in turn for sidechaining and so on. My plan is to write down designs like that on the forum So we have an old thread there about design patterns, right? And I think, well, it's now the time probably to describe a little bit bigger pieces of DeFi infrastructure. So DeFi primitives, let's say, right? Like trustless oracles or well, emission contracts, which are well already used around outside of the main emission contract, right? Which is living in the blockchain since day one, even before actually. So yeah, a lot of interesting things which are quite different conceptually from Ethereum DeFi. And yeah, I think, well, we need to take a look what's there, right? But finally, there could be a lot of unique constructions here in Ergo.
Okay.
Right, and
So-
yeah, so for Cardano, yeah, so there are some news there. So as far as I know, they're getting support for new cryptographic primitives in Bluetooth, including checking Schnorr SEC 256K1 signatures. So yeah, maybe that's can be useful for actually checking data from Ergo blockchain on Cardano. So yeah, we need to take a closer look to that. So yeah, so some better support coming on Cardano side in short.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Alex. So we have a question here, and this is actually something, again, that myself have been contemplating as of lately. I mean, this is not exactly this, but just some sort of as a model like this. So a question from Terry is, can Ergo have an ISPO model that's on a side chain? Now, while, I mean, the fundamental differences here is that we don't have stake pools. We have mining rigs. So, I mean, you can't have an initial stake pool offering here because we don't have staking. However, if you're talking about generating, say, somebody's releasing a token and you're looking to generate rewards in that token from some sort of a stake or some sort of work put into the chain. Theoretically, it's possible in good market conditions. So, for example, if you have a very profitable mining rig and you set up that mining rig, and then you have, again, something where you have crowd ownership of that rig, and then the people who crowd own that rig then get paid out in mining rewards that are basically converted into the token, and then the operators of the rig get to keep the actual ERG that's being mined in the same model as an ISPO. Also, there is a possibility, and this is something that I've been contemplating myself as well as we have been at Zengate, is a composite way. So basically, where there's some sort of an arbitrage between, say, a proof of stake chain and a non-proof of stake chain, you set up a certain pool that would then arbitrage between the two chains. Then you would then supply the proof of work coin to the proof of stake ecosystem, and then the proof of stake ecosystem would then stake that in their own native coin, and then you then arbitrage it back into the proof of work coin. Again, this is a very high level explanation of what I've been thinking about, but that could potentially be done. But again, this is some complex math here. Now, as far as actually going, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, with the current protocol, I don't see how we can do a ISPO on a side chain Ergo. I mean, what do you think about that?
The closest thing we have to an ISPO on proof of work chain would be something like GitBlock. I think the most critical factor here is that GitBlock is open source. And so in theory, all of the other mining pools can choose to support smart pooling. In Cardano, I'm actually not a big fan of the ISPO model personally. I think it tends to have like a barrier of entry that tends to favor large operators. And I know there are projects like Drip Drops and other things that are trying to make that more fair and accessible and open, but it sometimes can get into politics, and that's always not fun. So I would just hope that things would be open source, and it's up to the operators, whether it be mining pools or stake pool operators, to be able to participate without any gatekeeping or barrier of entry, because that kind of gets into weird territory in terms of like consensus and Nakamoto distribution and whatnot. But we'll see. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, so to have ISPOs, right? So you need for some additional token, right, in that sidechain. Yeah,
we need a proof of stake sidechain and then a token to distribute to specific stake poolers on the sidechain, and so it's kind of like a theoretically.
Yeah, but then the question is, what could be an economy, right, of that sidechain? So why is this sidechain needed?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, if this question could be solved, so then why not? So yeah, I mean, the first thing, right, is the question, why is it needed? So why is this new blockchain needed aside of just having proof of stake and being an Ergo sidechain? Yeah, that could be different answers here, but yeah.
Cool. Well, I think it's something that kind of, I mean, I would like to kind of dig into a little bit more on my end, and we are going to be digging into it a little bit more. But as of right now, what we've discussed here, I think, is pretty much the only way to have anything similar of what Joe and what Alex have just said. All right, so let's see. So here's a good question, and maybe this might be a good one to leave. Well, we'll see. We'll see how long it takes to answer. So, all right, we have one from Yannick, and yes, hi folks, thanks for the AMA. Can you give us some updates about the bridge framework to Cardano ETA this year? ? Issues and potential partnerships on the Cardano side that will make use of it. Cheers. So of course, Yannick is talking about the Rosen Bridge. So, Joe, what's up with the Rosen Bridge?
Oh, so last I've heard, the Watcher set has been tested on a private mainnet, and that is functional. The guard set has one signing thing. They are working on Sigma Rust, but if they're able to patch that one issue they're running into, we'll see it on public testnet. And essentially what that means is this bridge was kind of built in pieces. Those pieces have been assembled and are largely functional, absent, a few issues that they need to work out. Once it is on public testnet, it'll probably be on public testnet in Cardano. And then we start to, test it in that environment, make sure that everything is solid. I know that MHS and his team are constantly working on that. And, it's one of those things we need to make sure that it goes through adequate development, adequate testing before we go live. Now, what are the potential partnerships? Well, the beauty of open source ecosystems is if I were to bridge an asset from Ergo to Cardano, and I wanted to participate in a actual DEX, there shouldn't be a barrier of entry, right? I should be able to spin up a liquidity pool, whether it's MenSwap or Ergo DEX when they launch, or any of the other variety of pools and DEXs on Cardano. There actually should not be the need for a partnership. I, as a trader, should be able to participate. So essentially what that means is once the first ERG kind of gets onto the Cardano network, they'll be able to hopefully break ground and build themselves.
Right, absolutely. And this is, again, partnerships would be more like, it's not about partnerships at this point. It's about just adoption. Mm-hmm. And if this is good framework and this is a usable framework and this is needed framework, which it is, you will have adoption from the DEXs and, other DeFi protocols that are running on Cardano and vice versa. So, it's a highly anticipated piece of software that's being developed right now. And I hope to see it, and I hope to actually utilize it myself in a not too distant future, and hopefully in the next few months. So, MHS Sam, we eagerly await updates and product showcases and whatnot. So good luck to you and the team. All right. I think we have time for one last question. What do you think, Joe?
Go for it.
All right. Let's see. Let's find a nice one. All right. All right. So, okay, well, this nice one to leave off on. All right, Joe, can you explain Babel fees again?
Sure. So I like to use the example of Ethereum if people have some experience. You need basically gas in your wallet. And so sometimes what will happen to traders is they will forget about the gas aspect and overextend their liquidity into, let's say, a native token or something on a DEX. And so suddenly they lose their ability to create a transaction because they are out of gas, right? And so what do they have to do? They either have to sell some ETH to accumulate enough ETH to pay the gas fee, or they have to buy ETH, transfer it to the wallet to then pay. Somehow they have to refill, right? Well, Ergo does have a transaction fee. We don't have, traditional gas that floats around. And basically what Babel fees allow users to do is cover the cost of the transaction fee in the back end with swaps. So if you were to say, I bought too many of token X and I don't have any ERG to actually execute a transaction, it'll give you the ability to send, token X, and the actual transaction mechanism to pay an ERG will happen on the back end. So it just creates a really nice, simplified user experience. Now, that's also a very powerful tool for building subpooling and other frameworks that rely more on native tokens and don't have, they don't require ERG directly, to pay the transaction cost and computational costs. Rather, it can happen seamlessly on the back end without users even needing to know what's happening.
Yeah, it is a very powerful. Alex, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so by the way, Battlefield already been using for a long time on Ergo. So even before the term was coined in some IOG paper. So they used an Ergo mixer actually to avoid privacy leaks. Yeah, it's actually very tricky to pay mining fee in mixing protocols and while avoiding privacy leaks. What's going on there? So you are buying when you are entering a mix some tokens, and then you pay fee in those tokens, and then service taking these tokens and paying ERCs for you to miners. And yeah, actually it is even doing some profit, right? So our token price is higher than the mining fee, and the delta is going to the service. So yeah, actually, there is a way to get profit from providing liquidity for Babel fees, which is also very interesting, by the way.
All right, well, I think that's a good place to leave off at. What do you think, guys? We're at the top of the hour. We got some good questions in.
So I'll take another question if we need to. Otherwise, I gotta get something to wake me up.
You got Joe stuff to do. Well, listen. How about we're getting questions here, but they have to do about beer and other things. I don't know about that, Joe. Well, listen, let's leave it off for today. Of course, you can always reach out to us on all the different Ergo Telegram channels. Please feel free to reach out to us on social media. Joe does a lot less shit posting and a lot more informational posting. So, don't forget to follow Joe for real information. Don't forget to follow Alex for real information. Follow me if you like shit posting and some real information. All right. Well, guys, that's all the time we have today. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions. Bye.